to stay consistent. That's what we're looking for. Because if we align their career pathway according to anything other than these 4 questions, they're not going to be successful. You lower the success rate. It has to align with these questions. Now, why does this matter? When students are only told what to do, they may comply, but they rarely connect. But when guided to discover answers for themselves, they engage, commit, and persist. We have to guide them to their purpose, not tell them what it is. My other strategy 3, character is career currency. I am huge on character. Why? Because skills may open doors, but characters keep them open. I know personally plenty of adults who literally got an education, went to school, learned a plethora of valuable skills, got positions in the career that they wanted, but was unable to keep it because of what? Character. Bad character issues. What are my 4 character traits? Integrity, discipline, resilience, and responsibility. These are the 4 character traits that we want to instill into our students. See, embedding character into advising through reflection questions, internship debriefs, and student portfolios that make growth visible and measurable. We want to instill character into our kids because character is currency. Now, how do we embed character into readiness? We make character visible, make it measurable, and you make it matter. You have to make it matter. What does it mean to make character visible? Well, it's simple. Character becomes visible when students can do what? Name it, recognize it, reflect on it, and demonstrate it. They can name it, I show resilience, recognize it, that situation required integrity, reflect on it, here's how I responded, and demonstrate it, here's evidence of growth. It shifts from abstract ideas to real behaviors in real situations. We have to start instilling character into our students. What it means to make character measurable? Well, we measure character not by tests, but with reflection, observation, evidence, and growth over time. We can't test character. And I think that's why character isn't really implemented in the school system, because there's no data. It's not important. The only thing that's important is data. I want to test. We can't test for character. The only thing we can do is reflect on it, observe it, show evidence, and show growth. Now, why does this matter? Simply, ask any industry employee. We can teach skills, but we can't teach mindset, work ethic, or character as easily. When we embed character into career readiness, students become reliable, they become adaptable, and they become leaders. You cannot lead without character. As simple as that. Cannot lead without character. You cannot be reliable without character. And you can't adapt or be resilient without character. You have to have character. Score strategies to embed character, reflection after internships or projects. So we want to have our students reflect when they do an internship. If they have if we have a speaker come on, or we take them on a field trip to expose them to an industry, we want to reflect. We want them to reflect. We want to ask them, what challenge did you face? How did you respond in the moment? What would you do differently next time? We want to challenge them, okay? Reflect on what they did. We want a student-led portfolio presentations, okay? Let students show who they are becoming. Put it in their hands. We don't need to tell the student what we see. We need the student to tell us what they see in themselves. We need them to tell us, okay? Why is that important? Because self-reflection is the most important strategy you can use to build character, okay? What is the presentation component? Students present and explain what they learned, how they overcame challenges, and what strengths they demonstrated. And what's the impact? They take ownership. They take ownership of the moment. What does the ownership does? It builds confidence. What does confidence does? It builds self-awareness. And in many of our school hallways today, that's what's lacking in many of our students. They don't have ownership of their actions, they lack confidence, and they have zero self-awareness. Goal setting and progress tracking. We want to set goals. Character doesn't develop by accident, it develops through consistent effort. So we have to be consistent. If we give consistent effort, what are we going to get out of our students? Consistent effort, okay? Have students set both skill goals and character goals. Not just skill goals, but also character goals. We want them to develop that, okay? Now, what is that impact? Again, accountability, consistency, and personal responsibility. If you see the norm, everything is bringing it back to who? The student. Not us, but the student. Character moments in advisory lessons. Build short, intentional moments in advisory or counseling time, okay? Examples, scenario discussions, quick reflections on real-time life situations, video showing character in action, peer discussions on challenges and decisions. We got to put it in their hands. Talk to them. Have them envision what it is that they see and what they think. Now, reflection questions that build self-awareness, okay? Now, we may have trouble understanding what self-reflection questions, okay? So, transformation doesn't happen in exposure alone. So we can expose kids to it, but transformation doesn't happen in exposure. It also doesn't happen in experience. It only happens in reflection, okay? These are questions where transformation happens. How do you respond to a challenge? What did you learn about yourself? And how did you demonstrate responsibility? Okay? And then you have deeper questions that you can go into. But the core is character is not built when things are easy. It is revealed when things are hard. Our job is to give students opportunity to face challenges and the tools to grow through them. The entirety of the education system is designed to challenge individuals so that they can overcome those challenges. And by overcoming those challenges, you grow into something different. That's the whole goal of it. But when we're, as counselors or educators who are putting students on path to career readiness, we have to do reflection questions. Last strategy that I use is industry partnership. And it's real easy. Industry partnerships make it real. Real readiness requires real-world connection when education and industry align. What are we doing? We're exposing them to things, we're doing engagement, and we're giving an experience. Exposure is the guest speakers, engagement, job shadowing experiences, putting the students in the real-world environments, and of course the experience is going to be internships and industrial certifications, right? Whenever they get to high school, okay? Industry partnerships are not extra, they are essential. You need industry partners. They're essential, okay? Even if your district or your school does not have partnerships, you as a counselor or an educator should have your own personal partnerships that you can pick up and make a phone call for your students. And if you don't have one, then you have to work towards that. That is your ideology and belief system put in action. You have to do it. Don't wait for nobody else to do it. You have to do it. Exposure, let me see it. Engagement, let me experience. And experience, let me do it. And these are some of the examples. We went through guest speaking, job shadowing, internships, and some of the best practices that you can do, okay? And the impact that it would have. Students begin to visualize themselves in the careers. Students build confidence in communications and the skills. Students graduate with real-world experience, not just knowledge, just to name a few. This is a breakdown of what exposure, engagement, and experience does. So now we come to our charge. What is our charge? We have to transfer from counselor to a career architect. Do not call yourself simply a counselor, because that's not what you really are doing. What you're doing is you're building a life for your students. You're the architect. I like to give the analogy of what you are is a person who you sit the student down. You go inside and you pull out of them what's in them and you place it in front of them on a potter's wheel. And then you take their hands and you place it on that piece of pottery and you guide it. And you guide it until you can take your hands off of it and they can develop it themselves. But you're not doing it for them. You're simply doing what? Guiding it through their hands. That's all it is. Okay? You build pathways, you shape futures, and you create access. And here's your reflection. If every student had a clear pathway by 8th grade, how would your campus change? If every graduate left with a credential, how would your community change? And if every counselor embraced the role of character architect, how would the workplace change? That is your charge. These are the questions that you ask yourself as a counselor. You are not just a counselor, you are a designer of destiny. That is who you are. See, if we box ourselves in, then guess what the student is going to do? The exact same. They're going to box themselves in. If we don't go and reach our full potential, then how can we expect the students that we lead to reach theirs? You're not just a counselor. You're not just somebody who does schedules. You design destiny. You help students discover purpose. Student outcomes that we are building toward. We trying to build clarity, a defined sense of direction. We're building confidence in our students, the belief that their goals are achievable and they have what it takes. We're giving them direction, a map pathway from where they are to where they are going. And most importantly, we are developing purpose, a reason that drives them beyond a paycheck, a calling they can call their own. That's what we're doing. What purpose is the goal. When they're aligned with purpose, their life is going to be a whole lot better. So take a moment. Take a moment. I know it's a lot of information. All right. It's a lot of information. I try to go through it as quickly as possible. But take a moment. What will you immediately impact whenever you get to the school? One strategy, one student, one conversation. What is the first move you will make when you return to your school? Who will you impact first? I want you to think of a specific student right now, one who is underexposed, uncertain, and underestimated. What will you do differently for them? Okay? I want you to think about that when you leave here. Because see, the reason, and I want you to write it down. I want you to think about it, and I want you to write it down. Why is that? Because a commitment written is a commitment kept. That's the reason why we have our students write down their commitments and write down their strategies. Because if you write it down, you commit to it and you may keep it. Okay? So these are some of the questions that you want to ask yourselves and you want to reflect on. And here are my final thoughts. In my closing, I want you to look at your life as this. This is not just work, it's a calling. To be an educator, to be a counselor, you have to be called. I heard a speaker say one time, and it was just so profound. He was joking, but he was serious at the same time. He said, if you are in education, you're one of two things. You're either called or you're crazy. That's it. There's no other option. It's either you're called to do this or you were crazy enough to get into it. So I'm going to lean on the side of what I am. I was called to do this, okay? We don't just prepare students for jobs. Jobs are temporary. Titles change. industries evolve. We prepare them for purpose because purpose doesn't expire. Purpose is what gets a student up when things are hard. Purpose is what keeps them going when no one is clapping. Purpose is what gives them meaning to the work, not just a paycheck for it. We want to implement purpose into them. Okay? Don't just help students pick classes, help them discover their what? Calling. Don't just guide them to graduation, guide them to purpose. Because when a student finds purpose, they don't need to be pushed. And I want to thank everyone for coming in. Thank you guys for going through my presentation. I knew I had to speed it up a little bit due to time restraints, but I want to thank you for coming out. All right, this is my information. Any information, even if you want this presentation for yourself, just reach out to me. I'll email it directly to you. All right, thank you.